this video, we're going to be talking about how to name certain compounds. So the first step in naming an organic compound is finding out how many carbons are on the carbon chain. So for example, this one we have to find the longest carbon chain first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons on this. So we come over to our naming system and we find how many has 6, so hex. So that's the first part. Next, we also have to make sure when we're numbering our chain, we number so the substituents, which are the parts that come off of the chain, like this methyl group here, are on the lowest possible number they can be. Once we do that, we must identify the substituents first in number and separate the numbers by commas if there's multiple, and then hyphenate and name them. So we have three different methyl groups here. So this would be 2, 3, 3 trimethyl. If substituents are on the same carbon numbers, they are grouped together, or they're all grouped together. If the substituents are different and are on different numbers, then you put the substituents in alphabetical order. Next, as our final step, we add the suffix, and the suffix is based on the hydrocarbon chain itself. So, an alkane is single bonds only. And then we have alkenes, which are double bonds. And then alkynes, which are triple bonds. And that last part of each name is where we will, or is what we would call the end of our compound. So for this example, there are no double bonds and no triple bonds, so it would be a hexane at the end. So the final name for this compound right here would be 2,3,3-trimethylhexane. Here is another example that we can do together. So first, we find out how many carbons are on this carbo chain, and make sure the substituents are on their lowest possible number. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 carbons, so this is an oct. Next, we look at our substituents. We see that we have 2 different substituents. We have 2 methyl groups and an ethyl group. Now, we have to make sure that the ethyl group comes first in our naming compound because we have to do it by alphabetical order. Therefore, this one would be 4-ethyl (3, 5 methyl And then we also have to check for single bonds or double bonds or triple bonds. And this is all single bonds, therefore this is an alkane. So, the final name for this is 4-ethyl 3,5-methyl octane. Cyclic molecules are no different than any other hydrocarbon chain and naming it. The only thing we change is we add the word cyclo in front of our prefixes over here. So for example, for this one, following the other rules that I had already previously given, we name our compound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the only difference here is that we can go either direction because of this methyl group. So you can go this way or this way. Just making sure that our substituents are still on that lowest number. So this one will be 1-methyl cycloseptane. And it's an alkane still because there's only single bonds. Naming alcohols works a little differently. This right here is a functional group called an alcohol. And everything else is the same. So we would number it 1, 2, 3, or the other way. Since it's right there in the middle, we don't have to worry about which one it is on, because 2 would still be the lowest substituential number. So then we write out 2-pro. Now you think you might actually write something like 2-alcohol propane. But this is wrong. That is not how we do it for alcohols. Instead, what we do is we change the ending, so where instead of it, where it says propane, instead we add the suffix anol. So this would be 2-propanol. And this is the same for single bonds, double bonds, triple bonds. You just have to make sure you do point out if it is an alkene or alkyne. Our next functional group are ethers. You would still need to label the chain, but you make sure that the substituent, in this case the oxygen, is on the lowest carbon. And you can't combine the chain all into one in this case. So this would be 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in order to name for ethers, we combine the two names of the chains and then add ether to the end. So for this one, and we still have to follow and make sure it's in alphabetical order. This would be butyl, ethyl, ether. Now we're going to do a little bit of a harder example. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that I've also written on the board priority. This is the priority we have to follow when we start naming or labeling our compounds. So it goes hydroxyls, alkenes, alkanes, alkyne, alkene, alkyl, and halogens. Therefore, when we go to label this compound, we wouldn't start over here and work our way this way or this way. We actually start up here at this hydroxyl group. We start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is actually our largest carbon chain. Next, we identify, and still keeping with our alphabetical order where everything is. So we have a halogen here, which is our chloro group, a methyl group, and an ethyl group. So it would be first the chloro, so 5 chloro, then the ethyl, 3 ethyl, then the methyl group, and now we also have to make sure we label where our double bond is. So then we'll say 3 septene. And now we also have to label where our hydroxyl group is. 1 anol. So this full name would be 5 chloral, 3 ethyl, 4 methyl, 3 septane, sorry for the typo, 1 anol.